and welcome back to an Elder Scrolls Online video. Today, I wanted to share with you my Necromancer bomber that I use in PvP. This is the current edition of this build. I've tweaked with it a lot of small stuff, and I'm going to get into some of those small things during the video. But let's start out with the basics. I choose an Imperial. I also run 1VX and all group on my Necromancer, so I keep it as an Imperial. If you want to max out everything on your bomber, go to a Khajiit every single time. Then I have 48 points into my Magicka and 16 into health. This is where I feel comfortable. This is a very tanky bomber in comparison to a Nightblade and other classes that you can pull off bombs with. So this is where I felt most comfortable with my stats, especially solo. It's very nice. I use it while I'm solo all the time. Then we're going to use the Bewitched Sugar Skulls for our food. Same one I use all the time when I'm bombing. Never changes. We do run Vampire Stage 2. We do that for the damage buff that you can get when you come out of invisibility. We use the Lover. Now, if you are going to play Khajiit, you will use the Shadow and Axe, always hands down. That is the best combo. But if you are not a Khajiit, you will use the Lover. We do 5 medium, or 5 light and 2 medium. We're going to have our 2 pieces of Baylord, and then our 5 pieces of Vicious Death on the body. I have them all with maximum Magicka on them. You could additionally change these to be all tri-stat. You'll be a little bit tankier for losing a little bit of damage, but I don't feel like I die enough on my Necromancer to even warrant changing this. Then, infuse Dark Convergence jewelry. This is the same as my Nightblade build, essentially. We have our Ice Staff on the back bar, Decisive, get that extra ultimate generation, weapon damage enchant. Master's Greatsword, you ideally want the perfected version. It's going to give you 1,000 extra penetration. We have an Oblivion damage enchantment, and it is sharpened. Now, I choose the Greatsword over the Axe if, and only if, I am not a Khajiit. That is my one strong point. I want everybody to understand. I don't care what bomber build you're playing. Axe is only better if you are playing a Khajiit. That is my personal opinion. I do a lot of bombing. That's my opinion. If I am not playing a Khajiit, I do not touch the Axe. It will still hit hard, but you don't have that extra racial damage in there, so it doesn't really help. With the Greatsword, you get extra weapon spell damage, and that fits in pretty well to any race or any class, so, you know, can't go wrong. And sharpened, since we don't have a ton of crit to boost with precise, no real reason to use that on this build. Sharpened and Nirnhoned, you go back or forth between them. I eventually settled on Sharpened. If you were bombing like something as a Dragon Knight, you would go with Nirnhoned. Then, let's go touch our CP real quick. We have Occult Overload. This is going to blow people up. It really works with the skills that we'll get into later. Master at Arms for the direct damage boost. Fighting Finesse. We do want that extra crit damage, even if we aren't completely built into it. It does help. Fighting Aura for the extra AoE damage. Now, if you want to flex a spot, you would change this for anything else. You could do the 150 spell weapon damage. You could do anything you think would fit right here, but I feel comfortable with that. Celerity. You always want movement speed when you're on a bomber, especially now that you're not on a Nightblade. You lose 15% movement speed from the concealed weapon passive. So, this is a nice thing to have. You get in, you get out. Pain's Refuge. As a necromancer bombing, you are going to be right in the center of everybody, and, well, you're not going to survive most attempts on a bomber when you're running right in the middle of people. But you will take less damage, and if you can out-heal it or get some heals from your allies or, Zerg mates who are around, it'll help. Bastion, everybody uses a damage shield. Sorks are everywhere. Arcanists have damage shields. Dragon Knights have damage shields. Everybody's got one. Blow them up. Use Bastion. Do 15% more damage right off the bat. Kaboom. Boundless Vitality. Flex Spot. Gives me a little extra health padding. If you did run, 1 or 2 tri-stats, I would take this off and put something else there. Green does not matter at all. Now, we do use one scribing skill on this build, and I have it set up the way I like it. I've played with a few different ones, but this one's reliable. So, we use Healing Burst. It will be your burst heal. It does a small, very minuscule heal over time. These do affect your allies as well, which is very nice. You'll get some extra AP ticks while you're doing this. And it gives you Minor Courage, another 215 weapon and spell damage. So, it's just a little buff. You hit this before you even go into your bomb, and it lasts for 20 seconds. So, an extra 200 damage, why not? Now, let's get into our skills. Let's start with the front bar. Brawler, this is a two-handed cleave build. You need this skill, it's going to hit people so hard, they freak and die. Avid Boneyard, I choose this one, especially now. You don't care about the dot, but it applies minor vulnerability, which makes an enemy take 5% more damage. And you can proc the synergy on yourself. So, you throw this down while you're going into your bomb, you proc your own synergy. Everybody in there is taking 5% more damage from the start, so why not? Proxy Debt, you can switch this out with Blighted Blast Bones, or if you want to do the other Sacrificial Bones morph, you can. I find that Blast Bones just isn't reliable enough in my bombs, especially if you're hitting real bad server lag. And this skill will hit hard, and it does apply Major Defile, which is very strong. But the problem is, it's just not reliable enough. And when I bomb, I want consistency. So, I always choose Proxy Debt. I go in with this, more people who get pulled into my bomb, the bigger they blow up. Camo Hunter, this is our crit buff, also gives us minor berserk if we do crit damage from a flank. We never have to activate this skill, don't worry about it, just here for a passive. Forward Momentum, this is our snare removal, and it is a buff to our weapon damage and recovery all in one. Very strong. I go with this morph primarily over Rally because of the 40-second duration. Since we don't use a sustain food, having that extra duration means I don't have to cast as much, which, in the long run, saves me resources. Dawnbreaker, never use this. It's not going to ever be used. It's just here for passive weapon and spell damage from the Fighter's Guild tree. Now, our back bar. Channeled Acceleration from the Psijic skill. 1 minute of Minor Force, 10% crit damage, 12 seconds of Major Expedition. So, we get an extra 40% movement speed total, and we can just have it up for a very small cost and for a very long time. Here's our Healing Burst. I have already described this. Burst heal, heal over time, all in one, and it gives you another little damage buff. Alternatively, you can use Healing Soul, which will give you some resources back. It's a very good burst heal, and it increases the healing you receive. But the problem with this as a bomber, especially if you're playing in those third fights, is it doesn't always cast on you. Using Healing Soul or Healing Burst here, it will always affect you, so it's a little bit more reliable. More expensive by just 200, so who cares? Beckoning Armor, you can use the other morph. The other morph lasts longer, but the one nice thing about this morph, especially when you're running in to do bombs, any of those pesky range players, they get pulled towards you every 2 seconds. So, they can be pulled in with your Dark Convergence while you're going into a bomb, and then somebody outside of that bomb can get pulled in by your Beckoning Armor. And then that person might even chain reaction blow everybody else up, or that chain reaction from the original bomb will blow those people up. You never know, but play with either morph, it doesn't make a huge deal. Necrotic Potency. Oh my, I love this skill. When you are a Necromancer Bomber, Ultimate is a joke. So much of a joke, you could even take the Decisive off your back bar and go defending. But I keep it as Decisive because each corpse that you siphon is going to give you 6 Ultimate and heal you. So, you hit a bomb, you hit this button once, you have all your ult back. It's ridiculous. And then Spirit Guardian. 16 seconds, nice heal, and it takes away 10% of the damage you receive. So, you go in with this and all your Necromancer stuff, and you can just live. For a bomber, this is a very tanky build, and you don't even need something like the Dragon Knight's Corrosive. And now, Pestilent Colossus. This is what's going to proc your Dark Convergence. This is a very strong skill. It's going to apply that major vulnerability, and it is going to guarantee that you are going to get a disease status effect proc. Now, why is that important? Occult Overload in our champion points is only procced by people who die while they have a status effect on them. So, everybody that gets caught in your Dark Convergence will be hit by this skill and will have the disease status effect on them. Meaning, every single person that dies in your bomb is also an Occult Overload proc. After being a Dark Convergence bomb that will blow everybody up with vicious death, they will also blow up from Occult Overload. Meaning, every single bomb, you have a ridiculous amount of damage from every single person that dies. A ridiculous amount that affects everybody. I would say this is probably the strongest bomber that does not use scribing skills to pull things. I've enjoyed this so much that I play this more than I do my Nightblade. But that is where I'm going to leave this off. That is how I play my Necromancer Bomber in the Elder Scrolls Online. Please subscribe, leave a like, or ask me any questions down in the comments, and I will get to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.